So this is a defeat boss chapter, and if you play this chapter a certain way, it can be incredibly easy. This chapter can be ended in 2 turns. What you first do is you move Ha, I think you have to give Ha celerity, but you move Ha as far as you can go down to one spot where no enemies can target him. Like, there's one spot, if I lock in the ranges of all these people, there's like a spot right there. And what's hilarious is because nothing can get to him on this spot, the enemies will just, like, none of the enemies will move at all. And afterwards, Ha moves into range of the boss, who moves first, and then kills himself, and then the chapter ends. But I'm not going to do it that way. There are a ton of enemies around here. It's also a very big, wide-open map. There are some swamps here, or bog, as the game calls it, but you don't really need to go in it, because you really just need to lure these flies over here and kill the boss. There are quite a lot of enemies to fight, though. This is a very experience-rich chapter, and I plan to get a lot of experience out of it. You also have the option to deploy everyone, but I'm going to say no Ileana. Definitely no Ileana, and probably no Brom as well. Heather might be kind of useful here. I think I want everyone else, though. And yeah, this is a much better indication of who's capped HP, which at the moment is only Ike and Gatry. There are also a couple of treasures here, but they're only coins. Let me just quickly get the map up and see where they are. The coins are... Yeah, there's like 4 trees here, and then the coin should be there. And there should be another coin, I think, like, here. Yeah, it should be right there. But only coins, so you can just feel free to ignore them if you want to. There is a priest down here who has a stealable 4,000 free gold, because no one cares about statue frags. And speaking of stealing, this guy. This guy is pretty infamous among people who played this game. There might be some other bolting enemies, but this is the guy that people usually use to get bolting. In order to get bolting, you either need to get lucky with disarm, or force him to equip El Thunder, because you can't steal equip weapons, obviously. But if you make him unequip bolting, it does have weight 19, so Heather needs to have at least 20 strength. So you may need to energy drop or bonus experience Heather quite a lot in order to steal that. But if you do, bolting has some fun gimmicky uses in the last chapter. Well, part of the last chapter anyway. But I'm not going to be going for that, personally. So anyway, let's see. Who goes where? I think I'm going to send, even though there are quite a few mages down there. Actually, maybe Gatry will be better served around this side. Yeah, maybe he will, because there's the vast majority of enemies here are physical. So I think I'll send Gatry over that way. Nephany, because she has decent resistance, will head directly downward, as will Mia. I think I'll send... Boyd will probably try bringing up the rear. Kind of like Titania to go on the side. Soren's going to swap back there. Healer's in the back, because let's just say that I know from experience these guys double and kill Mist, so... Not going to let that happen, and yeah, Mia's there, Rolf is there. Obviously, obviously I don't want Rolf to get torn apart, and I guess I can afford to... Okay, maybe Ha should be a little bit back. And I'll have Ha over there, I think. And this should be pretty much good, so let's go. Lol celerity. And we have Proud Fight. Yes, Proud Fight, not Proud Flight. I screwed up the name, but it was an air chapter, can you blame me? We have Proud Fight now. So, we'll be hearing this song for actually not that long. I used to think that Proud Fight played for about half of Part 3, and then I realized that actually both 3 Prologue and 3.1 don't use Proud Fight. This chapter does, and the next chapter I'm pretty sure does, but then the one after will switch to, let's just say, a song that should be familiar to many of you. You're not even getting out a lot of experience. And Rolf can't even reach anything. But speaking of not being able to reach things, Ike can wind edge this guy. Another reason why Ike is so amazing in this game is because being sword locked is not that much of a problem thanks to wind edges. I'll say it again, I love wind edges. Okay, can't shove Rolf yet, because Mia needs to... And speaking of me loving wind edges, in fact, this might be a good thing to do as well, because it means that she can lure in these mages. Now, Adept here would be appreciated. Or a crit. Well, there's Adept. 1 HP. Okay, then. Oh no. Let's not do that. don't like showing generic converse dialogues. I could go for the Killer Bow, but I could go for the longbow of the Sky Sentinel, but while I'm here, actually, wait a minute, how far can you mages reach? Not actually that far, which is good. I think I'll actually shoot down the Swordmaster, because he has a higher chance of doubling Rolf. No, wait, thanks to the Speed Wing, they have equal speed now. Because Rolf, I'm pretty sure, has 22, and the Swordmaster, I'm pretty sure, also has 22. So Rolf has graduated from being doubled by things occasionally to not being doubled by things, but it'll be a little while before he graduates to doubling things himself. Kind of want to have Neffany run down there, but I also kind of want to have Neffany not go too far, because she doesn't really need experience as much as most of the others here do. I still love the song. Well, there's a completely pointless disarm. You know what? If Neffany has disarm, I might as well send Heather down where she is. Not because I ship them or anything, even though it's not so much that I ship them, it's more that I'm not opposed to shipping Heather and Neffany. But anyway, let's not accidentally hit rescue. I have done that before, as you've probably seen. Okay, let's just quickly check. This song does fit the early Grail Mercenaries chapters, though. And let's not accidentally rescue again. I forgot you had a Horse Slayer. I should pay more attention to what the enemies are equipped with. Soren should just stay reasonably close to Ike, because I don't even have them in a support yet. Now, the question is, which direction does Ha go? I think I like to have Ha down this way. So I like to have Ike head down here too, but at this point I'm not too sure. I want to have Ha fly down there and whack a few enemies, even though I'm not really going to be super using him in this playthrough. You need to really make sure to keep Rice protected, because he, yeah, he can die pretty easily, and speaking of die pretty easily, Oscar will probably die to the Horse Slayer, but he didn't get you. Well, you're doubling things. And you have less speed than Rolf, so really Rolf should be doubling things too. Oscar's gonna be running to a brick wall that is named his speed cap pretty soon, though. And that's a bit more damage than I expected. Oh, there's Vantage, though. You know what? Maybe I should have given me a Vantage cancel. That would have also been pretty useful. And Mia gets attacked again. You're getting pretty lucky with Vantage, although your speed is pretty good. No crit there, thankfully. I was about to complain about Mia's hit rate, and then I realized, yeah, Wind Edges don't exactly have the best accuracy, and against Swordmasters, that does really start to show. Enemy Swordmasters, I mean. Well, you've got good accuracy now. Now I'm kind of wishing that Wrath. Well, killing a mage with a Wind Edge, though, is not all that impressive. And everything's piling on Oscar. Now I'm getting worried about that Horse Slayer. Even though the enemy generals in this part, for some reason, they just like to remain stationary a lot of the time. Yeah, not doubling the Halberdier. That's exactly what I was worried about. Oscar is probably dead unless he dodges. In fact, I think he would have been dead even from full HP. That was kind of dumb and clumsy on my part. I really should not have done that. It's easy to overestimate the Grail Mercenaries because, like, you're like, oh yeah, they're the Grail Mercenaries. They're, to borrow a Critical Role quote, they're basically gods. But, they can still die if you're not careful, so be careful is the moral of this story. Right. That general needs to go, but first, Oscar should probably hit something and then run. Let's just finish this guy. For some reason, it's getting doubled, even though the rest of his compatriots aren't so much. While I'm having Oscar fight, I could just mention that back in the Grail Mercenaries Cavalcade and Bios earlier, I forgot to do... I forgot to put in Oscar's voice from Heroes, because, no joke, Oscar is so forgettable in that game, I forgot he was in Heroes. It's kind of a shame how they often add, well, not often, but when they sometimes add new characters and they just give them, like, Emerald/Sapphire/Ruby weapons, which I feel are some of the weaker weapons in Heroes. I mean, Triangle Adept is, I still find it hilarious how Triangle Adept is a skill that was so bad they actually turned it into a debuff without changing the way that it works at all. That's just how terrible it is. I find that's kind of a fun way to handle... Like, you've got an ability and it turns out to be a lot weaker than you thought it was. Instead of buffing the ability, you actually keep the ability as is and give it to your enemies as a debuff effect. It's kind of a fun way to handle that. Yeah, I probably need to heal Oscar, but if I do heal Oscar, I'm going to need to make sure Har is still here. Because otherwise these things will be able to attack Rice, maybe. And I, unfortunately, can't do you. Har is a little weak in the speed department at this point. Of course, if you third tiered him in part 2, that's not an issue, but I don't really like doing that. I was actually planning to show that in some bonus footage, and I accidentally deleted the save file from before Alicia's Gambit, so now I can't. But, yeah, if you want to see the ridiculousness that is doing that, try watching the AGDQ speedrun of this game. I still recommend that anyone watch that, because it's a really great speedrun. Even though it may not be, like, even close to a PB for that guy, I still think it's a really great speedrun. The commentary was great. It's understandable even to people who haven't really played the game. Everyone acted really friendly. Because I don't mean to get too negative or anything, but I do find there are quite a few Fire Emblem speedruns out there where the commentators can get very elitist. I still kind of hold a grudge against that one run where they had a donation incentive as to whether or not to kill Amelia in Sacred Stones. Seriously, like, the moment that I heard that, I just rage quit out of that speedrun immediately. But this one was pretty great. Like, they were friendly for most of it. They explained gameplay mechanics decently well. I thought that it was a really enjoyable run. And unlike Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn's speedrun is, like, other than, you know, I mean, you do some cheap things like early promote Har, but Radiant Dawn's speedrun is actually not all that. Like, you don't really abuse any glitches or anything. In fact, I feel like Radiant Dawn's one of the best Fire Emblem games to watch as a speedrun, or at least one of the most enjoyable, at least in my opinion. It is about 3 hours, which, considering how long of a Fire Emblem game Radiant Dawn is, it's actually kind of saying something. But I guess the like, shorter length mostly comes down to the fact that in Radiant Dawn you could outright turn off animations entirely. You only get that option on a second playthrough, but, I guess I could try and demo how that works if I really wanted to. I could demo how that works now. So what I'm referring to is, so if you switch animations to map only, which is what animations off, quote unquote, usually means, it means that, firstly it means that, for example, when you attack an enemy, I need to find someone to attack here. When you attack an enemy with map animations only turned on, this happens. This is how Path of Radiance look with animations off. So still kind of slow if you're concerned about pure speed. If you have animations entirely off, though, Radiant Dawn is one of the few Fire Emblems where combat with animations off... firstly, I'm going to go ahead and heal here. But yes, where combats with animations off look like this. And let me just first make sure that... Oh, they're both axe users. I can feel perfectly content with when you go down here. You're an axe user too. Where combats with animations off look something like this. Yeah, that's lightning fast. And that's probably why Radiant Dawn is such a, well, even though it's a very long Fire Emblem game, the speedrun goes pretty quick. If only you had got, resistance. Okay, definitely using Mia more often now. Yeah, someone's gonna say hashtag Mia for endgame now. even though that's not really what I planned. But, you know, if I have a spare slot, I mean, I could go with 2 Swordmasters in endgame. You actually do get 2 SS rank swords, and both of them are pretty different in functionality. So if you want to go ahead and use 2 Swordmasters in endgame, you can make them distinct from each other. But yeah, that's what this game looks like with animations turned off. And what's even better is that you can mash the A button while that's happening to make those animations even faster. So yeah, you can actually speed up this game a lot if you really want to. But yeah, I personally like leaving animations on when I record these games, because I just think there's so much character in the battle animations. Right, where should Heather go? Should I try... Oh, right, I didn't take my own advice. Heather needs to go where Nephany does, because she can swipe weapons that Nephany disarms. Now, there are going to be some reinforcements spawning from right below where Nephany is. You foolish fool, thinking that you can attack me with an axe. It's always fun when Axe users attack Swordmasters, except in Fates, because for some reason they have this annoying tendency to hit with 30s and just instantly one-shot you because HP growth in Fates are terrible. Yeah, I did not like Hana very much at all, and even Ryoma just often died to Berserkers, but that was probably just my luck. Anyway, back on to the subject of this chapter itself. Admittedly, it's mostly just an open plain with enemy spam. It's not really all that interesting, but I kind of feel like it's very cathartic to just have the Grail Mercenaries go wild on a map like this. In fact, I actually wish this was Chapter 1, well, not Chapter 1, I wish this was the prologue of Part 3. It feels kind of weird that you have such a devastatingly powerful party to start with, and, didn't expect you to double there. And your first chapter is a Fog of War map where you're forced to be cautious and you have to let the NPCs do most of the work for you. It's kind of a strange decision. I feel like this should have been 3 prologue. Just a wide open map where you can just go completely nuts with the Grail Mercenaries. I feel like that would have been fun. Anyway, I think Rolf needs to... Yeah, Rolf definitely needs to kill something. I forgot how low Rolf's level was. Well, his crossbow is doing well, but, let's, and he's finally doubling things, too. Let's just go ahead and use the regular steel bow. Don't worry, I will be using that longbow of the Sky Sentinel soon. That is its full... So the killer bow is just cursed or something, isn't it? Unfortunately, that wasn't a level. Also, at this point, I'm wishing that Rolf could, have effective dispose against Wyvern Lords. Do I have Nephany fight, or do I have... Yeah, it's funny because Soren is kind of low level, but I don't want him to fight things because he actually gets terrible level ups from regular levels, as opposed to Bo's experience now. So yeah, I really don't want him to fight things, even though he's relatively low level. Yeah, Mia is still kind of weak in the damage department. Even though she got a nearly perfect level up last time. I still love that dodge roll. I wish more Fire Emblem Myrmidon type classes did the dodge roll. Speaking of Myrmidons though, I do find the... You know what, let's just get rid of the one-use javelin. I do find the female Swordmaster animations, like the stance they take, a bit weird, because they don't really look like Swordmasters, they look like just Myrmidons with slightly more elaborate outfits. Though, considering that you never get a female Myrmidon in this game, maybe it makes sense for female Swordmasters to look like Myrmidons, because that's effectively their first-tier class in this one. If I remember correctly, Ike has a pretty amusing boss conversation with the boss here. He doesn't have any skills, either. I think I need a little bit more help up there, but I don't want to send Soren away from Ike, so I'm going to go ahead and send Shinnen that way. And, well, you know what, Void's not really going to be helpful wherever he goes, but I guess he'll go up there. And I could either send Gatefree further in, or I could, which will be into Thunder territory. Sounds like some kind of interesting area in some kind of game. completely random tangent, but I really like the, I forgot what that area is called, but the area in FF10 where you have to dodge lightning strikes. I mean, I don't like actually dodging lightning strikes because that is horrible, and I don't know why they required me to dodge 200 of them to get one of the ultimate weapons, but I really like the concept of that area. I've still completely forgotten what the name of that area is, but... Anyway... None of you have hammers, right? I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm going to pay attention to enemy equipment. And that's 26 life versus your resistance. Actually better than I expected. Let's just have you charge in and equip the hand axe. I'd like to get your axe rank up as well, and I think Titania will hang back only because I want Gage to get most of the experience there. Now I remember seeing a Shadow of Chaos video where he abused a priest here. For some reason I don't feel like bolting looks anywhere near as cool as it did in Path of Radiance. It's just like a single lightning bolt here. Though I still don't think the Path of Radiance bolting looks as cool as the GBA bolting. Okay then. Yeah. Gatry is a surprisingly speedy general, but I still didn't expect him to double in that situation. These are sword uses too. He also dodges pretty well thanks to his speed. If only that was a short axe, you'd probably be one-rounding these guys. And he's probably going to double these guys because they got doubled by Titania earlier, but he's not going to kill them. Maybe I should have equipped... I don't think any of you had ranged weapons, so maybe I shouldn't have equipped the hand axe, but at least this is more axe experience. We're starting to see why I really like Gatry in this one. It's kind of hard for me to resist a general who doubles everything. Though I kind of had to abandon Gatry in my hard mode playthrough of this game because he couldn't really get off the ground, he didn't have transfer bonuses. And... yeah, he wasn't really that useful. I've definitely said this many times before, but that is one thing that makes me not like hard mode in this game that much, is that it really forces you to only use the most top-tier characters. Alright, there are going to be reinforcements soon, don't worry, so we'll be having some more fun eventually. Let's just kick you off. So let me check. There are a lot of thickets down there, and actually you can reach from there. Let's just, let's use the fresh hand axe, even though this could still miss if I'm incredibly unlucky. I do love the roar that Wyvern Wars do before battle, though I think regular Wyvern Riders do that as well. That, for some reason, like, almost felt like the game hung up for a second there. Alright, let's, I think I can actually finish you off with Oscar. Depending on how things go in Part 3, Oscar may end up hitting 3rd tier. I still find it funny how you can still hear the lance twirl, even though it's completely off screen. Let me just check. I mean, because you guys are both going to suicide in the enemy phase, guaranteed, regardless, so... maybe I should have Gatry do this. I have... no, actually, I don't have a lot of hand axes to spare. I'll use the javelin. You know, I don't think I'd ever seen anyone fight in this bog before, because I usually snipe this guy with Har. So, nice lily pad graphics there. I mean, they don't look that great, but it's not often that you see lily pads in a Fire Emblem battle background. Alright, let's... wish there was someone who could smite Captain here. And what was I saying last turn? I don't need to equip ranged weapons. There, I guess Boyd will go over here. I think there are going to be more reinforcements from here as well, so... and they're mostly paladins. Yes, unfortunately, you can't lure this guy without also luring the boss, but I can lure in you without luring the boss, and I might be able to lure in... yes, I will definitely be able to lure in you without luring the boss. So let's actually... I've actually got a slight idea here. I want to put Nia down there with a Wind Edge, but if I put Nephany here with a Javelin, there's a chance that she might disarm that guy, and then Heather could swipe his hand axe, although how heavy is a hand axe? 12. Yep, Heather's got enough strength to swipe that. Yeah, I'm still a little bit worried about the reinforcements, because there will definitely be reinforcements coming down here soon. Rolf will probably try and shoot some things. Ike will go here. Soren will stand next to him because I just want to grind their supports up a little bit. And then Mist will go here for healing, and then no need to move anyone else. Alright, they're going to suicide themselves into Oscar, who thankfully will still not die because he's pretty effective at this point. Well, everyone in the Ground Mercenaries is pretty effective except for occasionally Boyd and Rolf if you don't train him, but Rolf is still decent. And now I need to heal you. Because you weren't particularly effective at dodging. For some reason I just kind of wondered there in the moment where the Benyon Draco Knights get their Red Wyverns from. And where Ha got his Dark Blue Wyvern from. Is this our first instance of a Sky Battle in Part 3? I think it is. Yeah, I'm going to refer to these as Sky Battles from now on. Ha's not nearly dominating as much. I thought you had an axe. Yeah, that's the thing. Because axes are so good in Radiant Dawn, it's easy to forget that Wyvern Lords can use lances in Radiant Dawn. So it's easy to assume, oh yeah, I'll just send my sword user over here and attack them. Now, in this game, Wyvern Lords having axes is great, but in later games, Wyvern Riders having axes primarily is sometimes a bad thing, because it just means, oh yeah, I just put a sword user with a Wormslayer. Or in the case of Awakening, Crom, who essentially has a free Wormslayer that never breaks as his starting weapon. I see what you're trying to do here. You're trying to make sure that you get to gang up on me. Well, I'm probably not going to fall for it. Although I might still end up falling for it, we'll see. If you fall for a trap on purpose because you know you can handle it, does that count as falling for it or not? Okay, I could send Rolf up here to try and finish that guy off, or I could wait out for reinforcements, which I might want to do, because I know there are going to be reinforcements here. Yeah, so here's where things start to get a little bit boring, I guess. Oh, Heather is not slowed down very much at all by that bog, which is nice. I mean, thieves ignore, well, not that ignore, but like thieves tend to move pretty effectively in terrain in most games they're in. Already the enemy's numbers equal ours, because, yeah, this is not a very hard chapter at all, even though I almost got... I hate when that happens. Even though I almost got Oscar killed by a Horse Slayer earlier. And yeah, it not being a particularly hard chapter, just a cathartic go wild with the Realm Mercenaries in a wild open field, it still makes me wish this was 3 prologue. I don't particularly mind the 3 prologue we actually got, but that could have easily been a later chapter. A slightly later chapter, at least. I'm going to actually move Rice a little bit more here, and now I will use the Men's Staff. I hate it when you end on 99 experience. You can't even get to where Gatry is. And I could have Har attack you, but I kind of want Gatry to get experience more. Even though at this point he's probably on average going to get better games from those experience. Actually, maybe not though. I think Har will just go there for now. And as for everyone else, we'll just wait. Now you're attacking. Yeah, that's more damage than I kind of expected, but I think definitely should be able to handle it. Come on, disarm. No disarm. Disarm is extremely unreliable. You shouldn't ever plan strategies around disarm, which is why I normally don't like going for the bolting in this chapter. Yeah, I thought there'd be paladins from there. So that's our first batch of reinforcements. Let's see who I send to handle them. Alright, Steel Blade and a Steel Bow. I think I'll actually send, although Gatry, admittedly, even with celerity, he's still having terrible movement through here. So I might send Gatry down here for now. maybe I'll go back here and heal R. And there's your level up. Defense, I think he got defense last time. And I think I said last time that defense is not really going to help him very much. Yeah, even without the effectiveness bonus, Thunder is still not the best versus Har. Okay, how am I going to deal with these guys? Let's actually maybe have Boyd. I don't know, because I haven't really had Boyd fight anything this chapter. And let's go for a bond support, and maybe Shinnon as well. And I guess Har could... I just really don't like the idea of Har getting crit by that, even though the chances of it are incredibly low. I guess I'll just send Titania down there, and Har will hover in that vicinity. Okay, still fighting with Nephany. I kind of have to use the Javelin, otherwise you'll just hand-axe me from a range I can't counterattack from. Guess I can just finish off that vulnerary. Oh, okay, yeah, that must be where one of the coins was. And so I'm pretty sure the other coin is, like, there. So, hey, I actually found one of the treasures. Right, I want the reinforcement from below to spawn. Because that's when things get a little interesting. I'm actually getting kind of bored at this point, and I don't often get bored with Fire Emblem chapters, especially in Radiant Dawn, because... yeah, I haven't been able to go on a lot of tangents in these videos because I usually have a lot to say about the chapters, but this one, there really isn't all that much to say at this point. Until the very end, of course. I've got a lot of things to say about the cutscene at the end of this chapter. Well, I guess Boyd could crit here. I like how fighters and warriors can still dodge roll in this one. Because their dodging animations usually aren't quite as interesting looking as... yeah, that is a lot of enemies. Kind of forgot about that group, and now Rice is in pretty severe danger. Now, do any of you have steals? So, no really dangerous weapons. The Gatry could just easily handle all of you. No problem, so I'm going to have this Gatry run back there. But Rice needs to either get very far away, or... some of them do seem to be able to get in there. Yeah, I need to have Titania rescue him. Feels like that is the only way at this point. First, she's going to equip a hand axe. Now... yeah, I should probably finish with Oscar here, because he's probably more likely to benefit from experience than Boyd is at this point. I still love the double attack animation with Lancers on Paladins in this one. And now you will just... actually, Shinnon doesn't one-round you. But that's only because I am intentionally nerfing his weapons. And finally, Shinnon is not critting something. But can Boyd finish this off? Yes, he can, and with a surprisingly high hit rate as well. 97 hit rate against the Sword Cavalry, and that Sword Cavalry has only a 41 against him. Yeah, Authority Stars do kind of negate the Weapon Triangle in a lot of situations. That might be why they completely removed the Weapon Triangle from this game's hard mode. But I actually just thought of something. Not just thought of something. I thought of something a little recently about how they handle the Weapon Triangle on... I finally get Disarm on the turn that I'm killing you. Like I said, Disarm is really not that useful. But basically, I've been wondering how they should have handled Weapon Triangle in hard mode, because I really don't like that they removed it entirely. I feel like it doesn't really make the game any harder, and all it does is just make axes even better and swords a lot worse. It just exasperates the imbalances that are already in the game, so... There are some people, like I've seen on forums, who suggested they should have doubled the effects of the Weapon Triangle on hard mode, but the problem with that is that that would mean that it's double even if it's in your favor, so that might also make the game easier in some circumstances. So maybe you could just apply the computer is a cheating bastard rules and make it so that the effects of the Weapon Triangle are doubled but only for enemies. Like if you're on the receiving end of bad Weapon Triangle, the effect of that is doubled. That could work, because it would mean that it puts increased focus on making sure you're using the right weapon for the right situation. And would punish you for, say, putting an axe user in front of a bunch of sword masters, as hard mode rightfully should punish you for doing something like that. Really? And there's no way I could have made that any better, because Gatry's at max strength. Other than, you know, using a better throwing lance. 72 hit rate with Rest Rig. That's still better than I thought. And now Ha can just finish you off. That's actually really interesting. So I double you. I mean, I guess it is half my speed. But yeah, I double you when I'm not carrying someone. And you double me when I am. Yeah, blame Javelins being kind of weak. That's also kind of what I expected. Okay, at this point, Gatry is definitely better off level with bonus experience, which means that at this point, because I have so many characters who are better off level with bonus experience, it may mean that I should just focus on completing chapters quickly rather than killing enemies, because that means more bonus experience, which is what I really need to be leveling up with at this point. Of course, once everyone starts third tiering, then I can go back to killing enemies in the chapters themselves. The problem with that whole thing, though, is Rolf. Because Rolf at this point really needs regular experience. So I've got to balance completing chapters quickly enough to get enough bonus experience for the rest of us, while still getting Rolf enough regular experience. But also, yeah, the thing is that they're very generous with the turn limits for bonus experience at this point. At least I'm pretty sure they are. And that is exactly what I was waiting for. Although I forgot there were so few. I could go for the killer bow here, but I kind of doubt that I'm going to hit. That's going to kill you, isn't it? Yeah, that's definitely going to kill you. Sometimes a weapon with better might is overall stronger than a killer weapon. Sometimes you crit with the weapon with better might anyway, rendering the killer weapon pointless. Yeah, that is a level. Rolf is still a little behind. Seriously, Rolf has been getting strength screwed with one of the best strength throws in the game. That is absolutely baffling that that's happening. I mean, at least he's getting speed, but still, that is really strange. Oh wait, that's a bow paladin. I kind of want you to go for Rolf, even though you'll probably end up going for Nia. Okay, so right there is where I should be luring the boss from. And I might want to lure the boss soon, actually, because I sort of want to be done with this chapter pretty quickly. Nephany can just go here and not quite finish you off with that, but finish you off with that. Then Ha will lack the Thunder Mage, Sage, whatever. I sometimes use the term Mage and just generally refer to magic users regardless of if they're promoted or not. And, yes, Ha will finish you off. Does he have better accuracy with anything? Yeah, no, the Steel Axe is the best accuracy he's got. Which might actually be bad if I miss and he somehow crits me, but that's not going to happen. Good, that didn't happen. Because saying that dramatically increased the odds of that happening. I feel like Ha's actually better off level with bonus experience at this point too. Yeah, I have all of the, like, bonus experience best used when numbers on the bios, but I don't really have them all memorized. Now that's interesting, I can go all the way up to there, but still can't really get to any of you. One of you has a bow, so I still have to equip him the javelin or the, yeah, they're exactly equal. Might as well use the javelin then, because of the better hit rates. And yeah, Gate Tree is at cap defense now. And even though the enemies are all promoted, their stats are well below us at this point, so early part 3 is, according to many people, me included, the easiest part of Radiant Dawn, but it does get harder later on. Mid to late part 3 definitely picks up the difficulty, so don't get too comfortable. Could try sending Heather after the other queen, but I don't think it'll work. I thought you'd go for Mia. They both have equal defense, but Mia probably does less damage. And no flashy skills triggering there either. I hate it when they canto really, really far back. I probably should have paid more attention to you. At least you didn't crit. Something tells me I have actually had Har get crit in this chapter before. Yeah, I forgot that those were thickets there that the enemies can run through rather than trees. And at least Gate Tree is invincible on this end of the map. The next chapter should hopefully be more interesting than this, though. I really, really like the next chapter. It's got probably the most unique victory condition in the whole Fire Emblem series. And I've got a lot of things that I can say about victory conditions in the series, but I'll go into them in the next part. If I ever met a fan game, I've got a few ideas for victory conditions that haven't really been done before. And it looks like Gate Tree's getting close to being ready for more bonus experience. Oh, I forgot about you guys. Can you get to Rice? Doesn't look like it, provided that I kill you right now. Okay, Nephany could finish that guy. Oh, you got a Storm Sword, which, if you somehow equip your Steel Sword, stealing the Storm Sword might not be a bad thing to do. Because the Storm Sword's a pretty good weapon. Har is still not doubling things. Well, he's doubling that thing, so let's have him attack it. Because when Har doubles something, it usually dies. That is the law of Har. The second law of Har is that when Har is third tier, everything dies. The third law of Har is there is no third law of Har. Because everything is contained under the second law. Yeah, that's nothing. The trees here almost look like an African savanna sometimes. Yeah, speaking of creative things, and yeah, I'm definitely going on a tangent now, but that was a really cool world in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. That game had some very unique world concepts. Even if that one did seem to be heavily inspired by the Lion King Broadway musical. At least the first level was. Alright, there are thickets there, so if Titania goes there, yep, you can't get to Rice, just barely can't get to Rice. Except Titania is now in range of the boss. Okay, that's not what I expected would happen. I should not have done that. 25, unless I can somehow... I mean, I really, really don't want to lure the boss with Soren, but... Soren plus Thicket equals... You've got 80 avoid at base, really? I mean, they're probably still going to go for Titania, but we'll see if they take this bait. I wanted Rolf to kill the boss for obvious reasons. Well, that's a guaranteed kill anyway. Might as well see if I can break the Killabow's curse. Maybe I have. Still definitely want Rolf to be getting a lot more experience, though. And yeah, that strength is way lower than his strength should be by all rights. I knew I would get RNG screwed on some characters I plan on using, but I expected it to be Edward. I'm very surprised that Edward actually ended up decent for me. Because I knew that with how much I like him, he was definitely getting RNG screwed, but it seems like he wasn't. There's a guy with a recover staff down there, but I've never really found recover staffs all that useful once you have access to healers with high magic stats. Yep, you're going for Titania. That's not what I wanted. And Istvan is implied to have an accent. I always saw this guy's accent as being kind of Russian. Almost sounding like Gregor. I don't think we ever find out who Lord Celiora is. Also, the squabbling of the noble factions and their armies is detailed a lot more in the extended scripts, from what I've read. Well, one of them went for Soren. That's a bigger hit rate than I thought, but that was a really cool looking dodge. So I have to remember this will end when the boss dies, so I want to get as much experience as possible before I finish him off. Yeah, I expected you to do that, and I also expect this will barely do anything. That's a much higher hit rate than I expected. Oh yeah, I guess because our evade rates are high, but the enemies still have pretty high skill. There's no special extra conditions of bonus experience in this chapter, it's just clear bonus and turns. I actually am really glad you did that. Even though my damage against you is pathetic. Might need to bonus experience Nephani's strength up a little bit. I'm confused. If I were you, I would have gone for Titania. Expect to see that a lot. Disarm kicking in when you've already killed them. It's even funnier when Nephany activates her mastery skill and triggers disarm. Because it's like one of the most overkill skills in the game, and it's like, oh, and also they're disarmed. Not that matters. Here's where I really wish Rolf still did bonus damage to flyers. Sky Sentinel bow still does decent value. And I guess, like, if I know that we're ending this turn, I could probably afford to have this go in there. I was about to call Ike Little Lord Ike here before realizing I can't call him that because he's not a lord anymore. And he's not little anymore. But I can't call him Big Lord Ike because, again, he is not a lord anymore. Yeah, apologies if my commentary hasn't been great for this chapter. This is just not really the most interesting chapter in the game by a long shot, but there are a lot of Part 3 chapters that I really like. This is just, like, it gets you a lot of experience, but it's not really the most interesting to look at. Oh, I have Wormslayer. Yeah, I guess I could do that, except I want Rolf to. So I could at least go for this, maybe. Did not get that. But I will definitely get this guy, because Wormslayer. Imagine this kind of damage with Astro. That might easily end up happening later on. The Wormslayer looks kind of like a Cutlass in this one. Alright, I need to make sure that I actually am able to take down the boss this turn. I should be. Okay, Note Killer is drastically less damage. So I need to hit you pretty hard before sending Nephany in, though. I forget if I think Hard does have special boss dialogue with this guy. No, he doesn't. You'd think he would because this is another Bad Neon Draco Knight, but no. Har's also taking quite a bit of damage. This boss, I just realized, is very similar to the boss of 3 Prologue. Yeah, I think I may actually need to retreat Har a little bit. Okay, that's definitely going to bring him into kill range of Nethany. The problem is that Titania needs to hit in order for that to happen. So that drops you down to 24, which is not actually kill range for Nethany. Which means Titania will actually have to lose, but she can also go into the wood to lower his hit rate against me. Yeah, lower it a little bit at least. Okay, come on Titania, please hit here. That's definitely enough. Except Nethany now has to hit both of her attacks, otherwise Titania will die. Didn't expect to lure the boss up this way, but I guess it made things slightly more exciting. Just so that she can actually heal Rolf now. And now let's see if we can finish this guy off. Yeah, and I have to use the Steel Great Lance. And I crit anyway. I was about to say that one other benefit of Disarm is that if it activates on your first attack, Disarm is essentially the same as Cancel too, so... It does have its uses, but skill over 2% is still kind of unreliable. So all the nobles really wanted was just money and glory. This time, this line actually makes sense. I remember back in Path of Radiance, they talked like Chapter 25 was a defeat boss map, but it wasn't. This line is really ironic if you use the Har strategy, like the one where you win in 2 turns. And this line as well. So, Soren's line here... It's funny, it almost feels like this boss's terrible AI was actually intentional, because it's very easy to provoke him into just going straight for Har and getting himself killed on the second turn, and according to Soren, in-universe, that guy's meant to be an idiot. So far, it's just been a bunch of squabbling nobles leading the armies, but, oh no, Ranulf, don't say that, you're really, really tempting fate. I think that fate you just tempted is coming right now. I don't think so. It'll take more than that to kill Tibon, but holy crap is that a lot of enemies and a lot of flyers. You might also notice that one of those generals in the center seems to have their helmet off, and you may recognize that hair color. I think we need to get out of here. Let me guess. Skrymir, you're incredibly stupid. If you do this, we are all going to die. This is where Skrymir's idiocy reaches... Well, it's not quite reached peak idiocy yet, but it's getting higher and higher. But... thankfully, the other characters in-universe share the player's likely frustrations with Skrymir. This moment has been a long time coming. Skrymir may be an idiot, but he's very strong though. This might not end well. Like I said, it won't end well. Though that was the non-kill critical animation, so Ranulph surprisingly survived that. Well, at least he possibly knocked you so hard in the head that you actually gained a brain temporarily. And this line, when I first played Radiant Dawn, this was one of the first times I had ever seen damn uttered in a Nintendo game. There is at least one damn in Path of Radiance, but it's only in Ike's Final Battle death quote, so you might not even see it. Radiant Dawn was, I believe, one of the first Fire Emblems to openly say damn during story dialogue that everyone is guaranteed to see, and that was a big deal for Nintendo at the time. And also, this still got an E10 rating in America. For some reason. I believe here's about where, in the extended script, you got a little bit of exposition as to how healing styles work. First time seeing this guy in 3 years. You were an ally in the last game, but, you work for Benyon, who are now our enemies. That means you're our enemy now, too. Well, Ranulph is. You're not right about Skrymir. I forgot that these two, first met here. Leveille is basically a giant, Zelgius fanboy. Yeah, they're all kind of idiots. Oh no, our enemy has a unified commander now. That can't be a good thing for us. And it seems like things are getting even more tumultuous for Benyon than we thought. Obviously, Sanaki would never do what the Senate wanted. So we'll see where that leads next time. I feel like that may have been a halved turn bonus. So, our enemies now have a unified commander, and it's one of the most feared commanders on this entire continent. Next time, we're gonna need to come up with a really good plan to get out of this situation.